Growth brought you freedom, and I've always been attached to growth for its freedom. And we became this huge social media sensation, and we were not even in social media at all. Didn't even have a website. 300,000 Facebook group following. We're putting out 200 pieces of content a week. But I really walked away without looking back.
Welcome to Beyond the Numbers, the podcast where we take the stress out of business finance and break down the numbers in a way that actually makes sense. Today's guest is someone who's redefined what a socially useful business looks like. You might know him as the founder of Cosy Direct, the Derby-based business making waves in education, community giving and sustainability. But there's more to Peter Ellse than just playground equipment and wooden mud kitchens. He's a man fascinated by the intersection of social impact, innovation, market orientation and flexible working, and who doesn't mind talking about prison employment, full-age workforces and goats in the garden.
What an introduction. I could take that to my... If I die young, let's do that at the start of it.
I'm happy to reiterate that. But before all of kind of Cosy and the King's Award and everything that you've done, take us back to perhaps where life started.
Yeah, okay. So 153. So where should we go back to? So I went to university at King's College in Ellse, obviously. First child to go to university, all that type of thing of the family that happens for all our generation.
Yeah.
I love that, and I wasn't really planning to come back from London, to be honest. I was down there for London rather than the university degree, if I'm honest. It went well, and but I got offered this job back in Derby, in Chesterfield actually, and I'd done some summer work for a company called TTS Group, a tiny business of about 15 people. I got on really well with the owner of it, the managing director, John Williams, and actually, I spent the summer cycling from Belper to Chesterfield every day. I was fitter then, to go to work and spent the whole summer working with him on my year off. And that really gave me an interest in SME and business. My dad had his own business and my mum had her own business as well. So there's a bit of a tradition in the family. Mum had a private day nursery in Mickleover on Station Road. And my dad was doing business gifts and things. So I spent a lot of my summers with him, meeting SMEs that were buying calendars, diaries, gifts and all this type of thing. He was a sales director of a company with 50 blokes working for him and a few ladies as well, all around the country. So I had a bit of I was used to hanging around industrial estates.
Nice. And from an entrepreneurial perspective, so you clearly had that really focus of being... Perhaps, did you think at that age you'd be a business owner perhaps yourself as well when you were at GTS?
No, not at all. I was just following my interest really. So I did history at university with geography. And so I got a job doing historical artefacts for schools. Schools wanted hands-on use of things. It spoke to children. If you had like a Roman mortaria that looked exactly like an original Roman mortaria, how was it made? What was it for? It really enlivened history. Mm-hmm. And so I got this job doing running a history division. And the guy, John Williams, that owned the company, goes, you can run this history division. And I literally went around museums for 3 years, literally borrowing things from curators to reproduce them. So I was digging around the Grosvenor with all the Roman stuff. I was digging around the Museum of London, the British Museum, and all these people, because it was when money became available. When you got money from the National Lottery if you showed that your museum was open and accessible. So all of a sudden, from curators going, I'm protecting this for the world and letting no one near anything, all of a sudden they had to be shown to do that. And I came around right at that right moment. So it was fantastic. It wasn't really a job. It was just I was just pursuing my interest really, and they paid me for it, which I couldn't believe. So it was a really, really lucky thing. And then after that, I did religious artifacts. So there was a problem that schools were tentative to deal with Muslims, Hindus. They were worried about doing the wrong thing. At that point, there's quite a lot of ignorance around, and so actually, and everything was spelt in, Indian was spelt, Diwali was spelt 9 ways, and no one knew the correct way. And the quality of the products were pretty poor because it was Indian subcontinent, low quality then, not high quality as it is now. And so actually I spent 2 years hanging around with Judaica importers, Hindu educationalists, Muslim educationalists, and literally trying to get the best of a faith and then to allow schools to represent that. So it's really, really, I met some amazing people. I met like Prince Charles, I met William Hague. I was good friends with all the big leaders of the religious faiths. And again, if you're into people and things and systems, it was really, really fascinating. So that was the start of it. I realised that I was just being paid for something I loved. It was unbelievable.
I was going to say, it doesn't sound like a job.
Yeah, it was literally like following the interest. And so I built that up really. And that's I think what I came to realise was that it suited me, I suited it, and therefore that was a very lucky thing to happen, really. Yeah.
And then tell me then, because obviously you became the MD at TTS as well.
Yeah.
How did that come about then? Because you were living your best life, kind of.
Yeah. I think a lot of, I worked really hard, a lot of luck. And I realised that because I didn't want to move and I wanted to grow personally and grow my career, therefore the best way to do that was to grow the company. And I was master of my own fortune. And so actually John Williams was good enough to allow me to do this. And so I built divisions up. But actually I was really just interested in developing my own career and interests in that. So I was really what you call dynamically aligned now to the business. I was the business was me. I was very, very dedicated and loyal to it. And so that allowed me then to grow up, and I did an MBA at Sheffield. I did a marketing diploma, and then, learn all those things to be able to manage, and then go on to buy the company. John, luckily enough, had no children. And so really, there were 3 or 4 directors. We were really in very much his proteges. He was an Alex Ferguson type who just wanted to work you to death, but brilliant man and a very humane person. Still a good friend now, 82 years, sharp as anything. Anyway, so went on then to buy the company from him, and the business exploded. And it grew up to be 3 times that size of that, and 110 people. And at that point, there was 3 directors, and my other 2 directors didn't want to continue. I absolutely did, because I was only 2 or 3 years into the promise with John, and my promise was to him I would continue in the same vein and culture. And my promise to the staff were, I'm going to be here. So actually, when we sold the business to RM PLC, my agreement with myself was that I was going to stay. Because often when you sell businesses, people that know the business very well aren't as clever as new people coming in, yet culturally they know everything. And so actually I agreed with myself to stay, to run that business as if it was my own for that PLC. And actually with that PLC that was down in Oxford, an IT business, actually they needed growth, they needed margin, they hadn't got either. And actually we just got a lot of excitement. We were inventing loads and loads and loads of products. And so actually with them aside it, suddenly I realised that I could be an intrapreneur, and big organisations don't get a chance to play. It's all about safety. It's about protecting risk, keeping what you've got, not going too far. And of course, you've got a wild person coming along that wants to change and break things. And so actually, by moderating the way I approached that, I could play within their system and therefore create this huge business. And it was brilliant. We ended up employing 250 people. And we won the Tesco contract. You remember the Computers for Schools vouchers?
Yeah, too.
So I went to see Tesco and I went, no one wants computers in schools. There's too many. It's already overfilled, interactive whiteboards that were largely hopeless, in terms of the use of a product. And so I convinced them that they needed to do sport. And so we ended up producing free sports equipment that went into every school in the country. So that's quite, you think that's quite a high impact thing to do. And I could only do that because I had the backing of a PLC. Tesco wouldn't have brought into a business that couldn't have broke themselves to fix it should there be a problem. They can't afford that, but they could take the risk with me because I've got the backing of the PLC. And so we managed to become, I think, something like 2/3 of all that PLC's profit. And really, John Leafield, the chairman, said transformed the whole of that PLC's perspective to this day. Solid business, really good up in the north of the county. And so really but I enjoyed working with them and seeing where their opportunity, and looking inside that business. I had a really, really good CEO at RM that bought the business called Tim Pearson, who's now our chairman, retain relationships and manage. But actually, together, he allowed me, I said, look, if you want someone to run the business, report to you, you definitely got the wrong person. If you want me to run it with all I can, all my ability, I'll do it. I'll do that for you, but leave me alone. And he was clever enough to go, leave you alone. And when it's growing, people just clap you from afar and carry on. There's other problems to fix in their PLC, so it was a great thing. So I realised as well that growth brought you freedom. And I've always been attached to growth for its freedom. Always, ever since. Yeah.
That's really
interesting.
It's
quite a story.
Because also PLCs a lot of the time will look at things on like a risk-based process.
Absolutely.
Actually being able to get that freedom must have been quite a rare opportunity.
I had to moderate the EHAR on email. I realised early on I'd dropped a couple of emails in that were like bombs in a PLC that I was like, well, not really used to this kind of impact. Everyone's going, what's been said, and it's flicking around the place. So I had to really moderate my skill set, but that was easy to do. But actually, I understood how to mediate risk. I learned risk I mean, really, I learned risk there, actually, is that I learned to mediate what I was doing to make sure that it was going to be acceptable. I went around the city a lot with them, so I understood what the analysts wanted. I understood what the people, I think it was Schroders and people that owned a big part of it. I understood what their perspective was. Therefore, I was able to give it them in a way that was they could use it. And actually, I always beat my numbers. So I always, whatever they imagined in their offices in Oxford, I was always beyond that. So therefore, that gives it gives you authority.
Gives you the freedom.
It gives you authority over your own perspective, and it was very hard work, but it seemed to me that we were brilliant, and actually we weren't going to be seen as that unless they could leave us alone. And they were as good as the word. I saw them 3 times a year. They send a car for me. They come up once a year themselves, and it was a great relationship. And so I stayed 5 years to do that, and actually I thought, really, most people don't carry on like that. They sell the business and leave. But actually, it was my promise to John, my promise to the staff to protect them and to give them the best of it, and which many of them are still there retained. And so that was so I thought, job done, time to move. But the PLC's got the hooks in you. I want 2 months off. Yeah, you can have 2 months off. Oh, I think, what else can I come up with? And so it went on. And then eventually I thought, no, I wasn't creating as much as I used to create in terms of ideas and products. And that ultimately led me to go, no, I've done. It's in safe space now. You can take it and run with it. And I found someone better than me to take it on, a guy called Andy Wilson that stayed, I think, 10 years. So it worked out well. And actually, you can walk, as I saw that carrying on to grow, then you can literally walk away once you know that's okay. Some people like to leave a business and think, oh, it's gone down because I've left. I think that's really futile. I'm trying to build capacity so it continues. And the next year is always the important one that you've left. That's still your year. We all know that. So actually, that's the one where you've got to look out for. So as that carried on nicely, I was able to then think about what to do next. Yeah. So that's the story of it. It's quite a bit. Not many people know that in Derby. It's a big backstory to it.
There is. And it sounds like you had that kind of great people around you in terms of, and also I guess it was a built business as well. Yeah. That you kind of came in, you understood it, you built it, you had the freedom to kind of create different divisions and everything like that. And even when the PLC came in, you were still given that freedom to kind of drive forwards. But I'm guessing it was just going, actually now, I'm not having that creativity. I'm not getting that time now.
Well, I like to be with customers. I like to invent ideas. And I like to be with staff and suppliers. They're my 3 or 4 touch points. And that size required a lot more corporatism. And actually, I could do it, and they were happy with it. But I thought, there's a better use of my time, but also I thought I think MDs. I say to people, 5 years is enough as an MD. First year you get into grips with it. Second year, third year, you're really starting to make an impact. Fourth year, you're sort of repeating what you know, unless you change a lot of stuff. And fifth year, the average PLC MD is 5 years, and it's for a reason, And I always like to think things are bigger than me and can refresh, if you know what I mean. So do your bit if it's the right time, but other than that, get out of the way and pass it on to someone else. And so I thought my time, I wasn't as excited about it. I was getting 20-25% growth, but I stopped being excited about it. And people deserve an excited leader, right? You want to work for someone that's excited because that gives you the energy when you're coming on Monday morning and can't be bothered because someone's smiling and say, hey, let's do this, like as you do, as you know. So in some ways I thought, I think my time's I was at the top and I thought, time's to move on. And I wasn't planning to do anything else, to be honest. I was going to hang around with the kids.
Yeah, so you had, was it 3 under 3 at that point when you left?
Yeah. It was. I think it was displacement. I think we'd started late. We'd got together. Had a big career. Amanda had a big career. She was in KPMG and then Rolls Royce as a senior. She's a first class degree in German and maths. She's the clever one. So we were having that double income, no kids, enjoying ourselves. But we'd sort of started quite late with children, so we had to go quite quickly, I suppose, is what we thought. As a result of that then, I thought, well, I'll just hang out with it. And I love kids. Hang out with the kids, it would be great. And that's what I thought I was planning to do. But, it sort of went a bit wrong.
Didn't stay like that for long.
Yeah.
And so what was it? And I know, I guess, what Cosy is now in terms of obviously school-based play and all, that kind of thing. So it links with having 3 under 3.
Yeah.
But what was it that you were missing, I guess, just being dad?
Yeah. And no, they were young. 1, 2 and 3. No, yeah. It was, of course, intense, of course, for everyone. But I think I was working long hours. And to keep a big company feeling small, you've got to give a lot of yourself to keep that still feeling touch point. So that's what I was doing. I was maintaining that culture of smallness. People, when they come and see us at Cosy, can't believe how big we are, and that's purposeful that we try and stay in touch and connecting with people. It's what we all want. But that's quite hard work. There's a lot of effort to do that, and it's very purposeful. And so in some ways, I thought that this needs to move on now. And I found a guy that came and went, oh, this is quite small. This would be quite fun. And I thought, brilliant. But actually, he was really excited to try and build it. To go again, really, I wasn't planning to go again. I started to look around because I was doing this charity stuff. But actually, I realised that it wasn't giving me quite enough fulfilment. And the fulfilment was the creation of ideas, the relationships, and the creating value. And so I spent... our children were 3, 2, and 0, 2, 1, and 0 actually. And so I thought, well, I'll just hang around with a 2 and 1 year old. Amanda's obviously permanently stuck breastfeeding a very small child. And so just went around all the different play groups with them and realised that, blimey, whilst I was doing quite a lot of import of electronics, I did a lot of control, data logging, invented loads of products at TTS. But it was all in the technical science type stuff. And then I realised that actually no one was really, really, really driving outdoor play. And I realised taking my children, the best place was outside. Yeah. The noise bounced away. Everything was easier. I could almost look like a professional parent, compared to a wife. And so actually, and going to those different craft groups, I went to all the different art clubs and all that type of thing. I was like the token bloke and all the mums there.
Yeah.
And it was a bit like I was a mumpreneur, really, in that way, that you suddenly got freedom to think and you start to imagine things. So I sort of thought I might try and get to like a 40 or 50 person business simply because I didn't want to run it. And I knew I wasn't very good at it. So I get afford some professionals at that level. And that was really my only motivation to do that. And I thought I'd end up with like a craft business. I was going to do like local craft. And I'd done a lot of import from China. I'd done a lot of plastic manufacturing. And as a geographer, I felt it's not where I would have ended up. It's not where I've chosen to have ended up as an organisational form. Although we created a lot of joy in schools and a lot of engagement from teachers, I realised that I thought, no, it's not. I can do better than that. So therefore, I set myself to try and create this community-based business, community of suppliers, researchers, and that's what I've gone about doing. And that's the difference. I mean, to do the same, it's always tempting to do the same thing again because it's a shortcut, and everyone goes, "Oh, you're really good at that," and lots of people want to come back and work for you. But I really walked away without looking back, and I refused to talk to people that I used to work with. Even that, it's quite confusing for them because we've been deeply involved with each other. But I really wanted the creative pursuit of trying to do something new. I wasn't unhappy with TTS. I wasn't happy with who I sold it to. They were great people. I wanted them to succeed, and I wanted to stay out of the way of that. Because, you get, oh, Pete, it's not the same, Pete. It's not the same. And you go, of course it isn't the same. I've moved, and so should you. Move on. But I managed to pay them a lot of money so that no one could leave. I basically paid them much more than anyone paid them. So there was we lost no one during that period of those 10 years. In fact, they're still stuck there now. I hope they don't read this, sorry. So the aim was then it was more low carbon. And I've got 40 suppliers that work exclusively for us. So I am all of their demand. Now you'd think that gives me power, but it actually just gives me responsibility because they depend on me. If my demand goes down, they're only worried. They've got one thing that's out of their control, me, their customer, and they've not got any other bets hedged. That's quite a big thing to ask someone to do. And it wasn't that I asked them to be exclusive. I've just vacuumed up all of their demand with ideas. And so therefore we're very, very, very careful. We spend a lot of money making sure that we are at service to our suppliers to go get the right level of demand going through, lots of planning, lots of design, and we fund a lot of it as well. So if they have to expand, we fund their expansion. We'll lend them money. Someone's factory burnt down, and obviously we need them to continue. So we lent them money to build the next factory. Oh, wow. Of course we did. We've got 10, 15-year relationships. So our strength really is those 40 companies, and they only work for us, and they're all in UK and Europe. So it's all short near sourcing. And actually, it means I can develop 400 products a year. That's mind-blowing quantity of products. But it's because these 40 people do 10 each. It ain't no big deal. And for them, I just want them. I am their sales rep, coming up with more ideas that they need to make for us. So actually, it's a flip, if you like. I like to flip things.
So it feels like you almost kind of ripped the rule book up a little bit in terms of you went, right, okay,
yeah,
TTS we've done.
Jinked it,
actually, I'm going to do this completely different. I'm going to deal with completely different suppliers.
Totally.
Clearly,
all new suppliers, all new research, so that I could literally not iterate from what I've got, but literally start something in the service of very young children, which then you realise is serving very young families. And some of those families are children themselves. You get into it. I mean, I've been deputy chair of governors at Alfreton Nursery for 20 years, and up there you've got families you've got people that are learning to be an adult as well as a parent, and are still a child themselves. They need a lot of support. They've got all that they need. They've got the love, they've got the attitude, they want to do well. But actually, you see that in the nursery level, schools are at service of community. They're not just teaching kids. You're never as close to community as when your kids are that little. You're right pressed into it with everyone else. You can't get away from everyone. You're in there. And I love all that. I think it's great. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like, is this because you came from a completely different place? Because there wasn't a fear or a need, to provide, but you were able to almost go, you know what, in a world where I can actually now go and do something creative and innovative, I am actually going to go, you know what, I am going to do a different approach with the supplier base. I am going to focus on community, and you guys are incredible ambassadors for charities and that support. I met some great people in Derby, aren't they? Companies and charities. I mean, I think none of it is big story stuff. There's no big vision. I'm just iterating what I've got. So we were already giving 1% of our profits away at TTS. So I said to them, look, I run the business, but I need to run it P&L. Leave me to it because I want to try this other stuff. I wanted to try this stuff. I realised that I'd been quite successful at TTS and done nothing with it. I thought post-event I did something with it, but could I have done something with it during it if I'd got a bit more clever about it? So really, I was thinking that I could do that with them. I got to 1% and I thought, what would be really amazing? What would be so strikingly different that companies don't do? 10%. PLC does 1. Let's try and strike that by 10. And that was one of my first, I had a big list of things that I wrote down when I started again, of things I'd like to do more of, less of, not do, and just work my way down that list so that you could use that space that you have with the children to leap ahead, as it were. And COVID did the same thing for us. It gave me that space to change something and amplify something. So what else was on that list then? So going back to, just started up Cosy.
Yeah. Supplier base is one of it. The 10% charity thing was strong from the start, and we've always been given more than that. And it's grassroots. It's helping grassroots. Big charities don't need us. They've got plenty of sources of supply and demand. But the little grassroots charities, they're not even specialised in looking for money. They're just fixing something. And if you can walk by them, think some cash or some resource or people at it to elevate what they're doing without disrupting it, then actually you can add value in a very low-key way. So we do a lot of low-key on that. Almost like a Derbyshire Foundation type thing where we just touch with it. And that works really well for us. But it's not a profession. I haven't got time to assess whether that's any good. It's got to be, Bev, you know someone. They're probably okay because you know them and I know you and I trust your judgment. Therefore, there's no assessment required. Yeah. Just pass some money and go. And so it's very, very light touch, but it's lots of little. So whatever you get wrong, not much is wasted.
Got you. And do you think that's what's fueled you then even more in terms of this stage of going, actually, because I can use Cosy for such a force for good?
Yeah.
Is that what's driving this?
It is. People say, why don't you go into politics when you retire? I go, hey, it's a hobby. I couldn't be more political than what I'm doing right now. I'm making a big impact, and I've got 110 people that are working together. The board at Cosy are brilliant. They run the business.
And when did you get these people then? Because obviously you said, I can run the business back at the TTS stage. Yeah. But it's not something that I really want to do. When I get into this next stage, it felt like, actually, I can do it if someone else is going to run it day to day for me. When did you make that decision to go, I'm not going to do all those different roles and juggle it as a
at the very start. Yeah, at the very start. I was always spending money ahead of it to get people and talent. I've tried to aim high on people. So, the company runs a higher average wage than the UK average, even for Derby, which is quite a tech.
Already inflated,
city. The average, so I beat that. And I've got, I would say 40 of those people working in a warehouse, so the average is good. The salary is good. But I've always aimed for big people, and I've always tried to then be useful to them. It's not just about the salary, it's someone wanting to work there. So in a way, a bit like being at service to suppliers, I'm very much at service to staff. What do you need me to do that's useful to you that allows us to do this? And that's how it is. I'm motivated by people and by people being excited by what I'm doing. And that's the game of it. So in some ways, I've always been looking for the next level up, always. And my old chairman, Terry Sweeney, he became the CEO of RM after our time. He said, you'll never regret employing high. You'll never regret employing high. And I've never forgot that. And I've always tried to aim up to that.
Did you ever get that kind of sickening feeling, though, of the challenge of going, actually, I've got to recruit someone and we're nowhere near ready to afford that?
Yeah.
Was there that kind of hit in the moment struggle, or did you always have that clear, I can make this work?
So, Bev, I've been spending most of my time knowing who I wanted and persuading them they really should quit what they're doing and come and work for me for less money.
Nice.
So it's a sort of sport, really. It was a game that, I don't want people to come for the money. I want people to come because they love it.
And has there ever been a challenging moment in Cosy?
I mean, I find that hard. I mean, I find it hard to answer that. I'm sure there has. I'm sure the people that work with me will say there has. So actually, no, I think it's just a case of continuing what we're doing and building more capacity. I mean, I think if I look at it now, I've got 5 or 6 directors. I would say the level below that, they're not yet ready to be directors, and we need them to be, because we're going to be 200 people in a minute, and they've got to be running 20 people each or 40 people. So I think the challenge is when it's going so well as it is, that people get fat and happy. And I always say to people, look, what you're looking at now is last year's success. Let's worry about next year. If it's going well, we should just worry about keeping hold of that. And I used Greiner's. Do you know Greiner's life cycle model?
No, I don't
Don't
actually.
you?
No.
You want to go and look at Greiner's life cycle model. Brilliant. So it's a Harvard professor, I think. And he talks about life cycle of a business. If you imagine a line like this, it goes up straight, goes up straight, goes up straight. And those points there, where it straightens, are points of crisis. So, it's a leadership crisis, or there's a distribution crisis. There's all these things in it, in this Greiner's life cycle. Each one of those crises can keep you at that level or even bring you down
Decline,
again. Yeah. And often I find with SME owners and things that they've realized they've developed themselves as their strength, and then their own prison guard in that. They think that's the only thing it is. And I've always tried to row away from who I am and my strength to get to the next level.
So let's talk about tactics then.
Yeah.
As you look back over the life cycle of Cosy, what are the things that you feel like really helped you with growth and kind of where you've got to?
I've gone through growing divisions, I suppose, departments, and then as they come to after they've crystallised, that's helped me. I've gone around building different things.
Does that de-risk it a little bit as well? Because you're almost focusing on smaller subsections.
Yeah, I mean, I like to have lots of customers. I like to have lots of suppliers. I like to have lots of products. So I'm not lying awake thinking about anyone. Yeah. And it really broadens the risk. So if I get like a big customer, I'm straight away trying to row away from them and build around it to make sure that it's got that broad spread, so it's got that predictability to it.
You have no over-reliance.
We've got 30,000 customers.
Yeah.
But actually, it just drove things massively, and we ended up with we've got a 300,000 Facebook group following. We're putting out 200 pieces of content a week, brand new, fresh content. And we became this huge social media sensation. And we were not even in social media at all, didn't even have a website.
It feels like you've embodied what you have done with your suppliers, with community, with your team, with community, with your charity, with community. You've then created
I say most companies forget the word social in social media. This is there's a post yesterday, one that said, it was someone saying, 100 likes used to be an amazing thing to get. That was a great thing. 100 people that are properly engaged with you. Oh, no, that's no good now. It's got to be 2,000 likes where they're not very engaged with you. And my post was I'm very happy with 3 or 6 if I like those people and I respect them.
And if it's the right,
I love it.
It's the right
I love
people.
it. I don't need 200 people. So actually, social is the key. People think it's an impartation or they've got someone very junior doing it. But I see it as being a really credible tool. So that was the first tool of change. The second one was the export, where really we knew that the products we got were going to be hot in export. We knew because I'd researched in so many countries, Australia, over in Canada. I knew that it was strong, and I knew that we might find people there that could. In Europe, children don't go to formal school till they're 8. Yeah. Now we have people trying to test people at 4, and we all don't want that. We want childhood to be. It's a moment in time. Yeah. So we're preserving that. So we're funding some of that type of promotion in Scotland. The Upstart promotion, we fund that because they are pressuring Scotland to try and campaign to get kindergarten age up to 8. And so actually I knew that I could find people abroad that would amplify what I thought would be a good idea in England and give us strength. And actually they give us lots of innovation as well. So although I was looking for export, I was looking for people like me that were thinking what I was thinking to bring back to the Brits and go, yeah, look, it's the same. And that's been so good for us in terms of giving us more ideas. We've only got 4 or 5 competitors here in England. Therefore, the ideas aren't driven wider. Where's the raw competition going to come that's going to really make us all lever up? But actually abroad, I can fight against the Americans, the Canadians. I want to be like a worldwide success at this, Yeah. And so actually I want to do more products than they do, better. And so I found like a refreshment of competition that I've never had. And I never had it at TTS, and it's a brand new world, and it's brilliant.
These are a couple of signature questions. There's a bit of a quick fire round, so don't overthink them.
Right.
If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Yeah, just go for it. I think procrastination is part of the process. Don't beat yourself up about that. Yeah, that would be it.
I like that actually, because procrastination, we all kind of beat ourselves up into when we get in there.
Yeah.
And actually thinking of it as part of the process and forgiving yourself a little bit.
Yeah. I thought I wasn't quite making the right decisions at the time, but actually now I use it a lot. I walk around things like a sculptor around a block and chip away at it and think, oh, and yeah, I like to. Also, I always like to hold an idea over here going this way, as well at the same time hold an idea going that way as well. Because actually, you never stop investigating until you have to jump and leap and do it.
So you've almost got overarching vision in a way,
Yeah,
as in we know what we want to stand for, as in be good, be a force for good, have the right impact. Yeah. But also you've got multiple different ways and avenues of getting there. Yeah.
I mean, everything's possible all the time, I think, is what I say to people a lot. They annoys them. But I do think everything is possible all the time. So EPAT. That's probably the answer to your next question, actually.
What was my next one? So what's one belief, habit, or perhaps rule that you wish you'd unlearned earlier?
I find that one quite hard to answer.
That is a hard one.
Yeah, I do find that one quite hard to answer. It would probably be the former answer, if anything, which is not very helpful to your...
That's fine, we can take it. So go for it, and then procrastination's okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And what's the best investment that you've made? Money, time, or energy?
100% people. Yeah, 100% investigating and building a network of people that may be able to help me to do something, or together we can create something. So, absolutely. I mean, the business is called Collaborate and Innovate. I love to collaborate with people. We've all got 3/4 of an idea, and together it's worth 2. And so I love the interaction of that, and to find the idea in our conversation, whether you're a teacher, a supplier, or a member of staff. I really love, I enjoy that. It brings the best of me. So
amazing. And right now, what does success look like to you?
So we want to continue to grow by 40%. It's huge growth. And actually that gives us opportunity. We're giving out 10% of profits to charity. So it feels like the charity could be big in, charities really should be running off 8% admin. So it's starting to be the case that we can get it to someone that can become its own thing, which is good. I'd like to get the firm into an employee ownership trust or an EMI as well. And actually to fulfill the global nature of the firm, we've set up an office in Holland. We've got our first international people working there. And actually you can see that international force of childhood is what it's all about. Yeah, so just keep it in stable format. I mean, look, we're a small business, right? It's 120 people, but actually you can do quite a lot on those things. So yeah, so maintain that. And then I think the biggest achievement will be if I managed to work to 90 whilst convincing my friends and family I wasn't working.
Nice. I was going to say from a personal viewpoint as well. Yeah. So it's still having something to kind of keep you driven and focused, playing maybe.
Yeah, it is a play really. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity, and I see a lot of opportunity in people that I work with. I mean, look at Embark, Ben, look at the YMCA, Derby Kids Camp, the Children's Holiday Home. There's loads of potential to help people. So yeah, that's it.
Nice. And then who's one unsung hero who shaped your journey?
Pick 2?
Yeah, of course you can.
So John Williams been first. So he founded TTS. He is like Alex Ferguson. He's a Brummie. His mum and dad walked from South Wales to find work in the 30s, and so he's got that working class attitude towards him. So I'd have him right up there. I'd also have my mum up there actually, because she's a single parent, brought up 3 children. She's a champion dog breeder, and she was a judge at Crufts. A really steely woman that's created a lot of, a lot for herself and done well. Those 3 children bringing up and still being able to run the house and all the rest of it was, I think, a great source of inspiration for me. And still is today. She's alive, Mum.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah. And then, I don't know if you're going to have an answer to this, but what's one line you say to yourself when things get tough?
It is everything's possible. I just double down on it and I just focus, really. I'm very good at being able to focus on things and address things. And in a growing business, you need to keep moving things for people, because people settle and that frame of reference is then useless, you're then useless for the business. And so I'm always trying to readapt myself, reskill myself to be useful to the business.
And then if you want someone to take just one thing away from this podcast, what would it be? I feel like it might be that everything's possible.
No, I mean, I think, just find something that you really love and loves you. And if you get into that, go for it. I mean, I never stop looking for something that you really love. And I think it's not a one-man job. I mean, me, Amanda and I, the family behind us, it's a sort of 10-person job. The board, so just surrounding yourself by great people. I mean, they say know a person by their friends, and I believe in that type of thing, that actually you've got yourself a good network that you've built, you've looked after it, you've tended it, you care for the relationships, I think can go a long way. And that can start at any time, I think, for anyone.
What I love about Peter's story is that it's a masterclass in staying human while building something huge. Cosy Direct didn't just grow because it had good products. It grew because it listened, because it looked at a classroom and thought, what do these kids actually need? It grew because it fostered community. Community not only in its suppliers, in its customers and its team, but also throughout Derby and the charities it supported. This deep-rooted approach shone through and grew from a place of passion and fueled by innovation. And that's what's truly beyond the numbers.